Welcome into a Monday 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles Philly Sports Bets edition here. Philly Voice Sports Bets to get it right. As we, Devin Caney, Harry Mays, myself, Matt Cherico producing, all excited, of course, to talk about what happened over the weekend. Hopefully it was as good. Our tickets went as well as it did for the Philadelphia Eagles, although I will say that the method of victory for me was not profitable by any means. So I'm definitely happy, Devin and Harry and Devin, as a fan, that the Philadelphia Eagles were able to throttle what has to be the worst starting quarterback when you account for a guy who is being paid to be a starter, not somebody who's in there for circumstance or stopgap. But my God, is Carson Wentz horrific. But all of that aside, I thought I'd get a little more points from the Eagles in the second half. Not the goose egg. So a good place to start. They're 3-0. Shame on me for thinking that Nick Sirianni wouldn't take his foot off the pedal. But, a lot of good things to look at, I would think, at least to start, Devin, with the Eagles.
For sure. Exciting game. Wish they scored any points at all in the second half. But you know what? I'll take it. Betting wise, I told you guys on Friday, I did that same game parlay. Unfortunately, like half of it didn't hit because we didn't see too many rushing yards from Jalen Hurts. Yep. That being said, I'll take his incredible passing game. I still had a few individual bets that hit that game. AJ Brown, you guys know I've been thinking AJ Brown is due for his first touchdown as an Eagle, and he finally got it. So the AJ Brown anytime TD, Dallas Goedert anytime TD, and Devontae Smith anytime TD. Love to see it. So I'll take it even if my parlay didn't hit.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that slant from A.J. Brown inside the red zone. I mean, you cannot defend it. It's like a basketball play with a power forward going in there who's got great hands. And anytime the ball is within his radius, he is the guy coming down with it. So that's, I think we're going to see a lot of that. The Eagles didn't score until I think the second play of the second quarter, which really fucking pissed me off because I had first quarter -1. I knew they were going to dominate this game. I knew the Redskins would have nothing, the Commanders. And Carson would be so amped up and look like a stooge early on, and they made him look just as bad the entire game. 9 sacks, I think it was. I mean, I haven't seen a beatdown like that since Temple took out Penn State and sacked Hackenberg 10 times in week 1 many, many moons ago. But that's the only play I had on the game. I tuned out of it at halftime. I didn't even watch the second half, and I didn't miss a damn thing. I put the red zone on and the golf, and I was quite happy.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, this is something that you cannot do in the NFL when you're playing better teams. It's just impossible to argue that, where you cannot take your foot off the gas and just.
They've done it 2 weeks in a row now.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Yeah. The good thing is that you are going to face throughout a 17-game regular season, you are going to face teams like Washington. And get credit. You do get props for putting them away and not allowing them back in the game. But I look, it's not a negative. I don't want it to sound negative. It's not a negative, but I almost feel like I'm trying to figure the right analogy here, but it's like the Eagles didn't even get a challenge, right? Like this is almost an outlier game. It's 3-0. They get all the prop. I'm excited, but Carson, that offense is terrible. Terrible. I don't know if they faced an offense like that again the rest of the year.
And if you find it's not a coincidence, I don't think, that this defensive front had their way with Washington. They knew what they were up against, a guy who loves to hold on to the football, and an offensive line that was down a player or two and really is not that good to begin with. Fletcher Cox played a whale of a first half. I mean, he was getting all kinds of push. And when you push the pocket into Carson's face, he does stupid shit. And that's exactly what happened.
But that's why I'm happy with the performance all around, especially from defense, because heading into this game, I thought they did exactly what we wanted them to do, what they needed to do, which was not just physically get to Carson Wentz, but also get to the ball, because we know he's never going to hold on to it, and get in his head early. And our defense did that. I wish offense didn't, take their foot off the gas in that second half. I don't know whether it was a coaching decision to kind of let up, but even though they had 24 points, which were all scored in the second quarter, right. Harry, to your point, which is kind of crazy. it wasn't enough for me. Like, I want to see more than that. It almost began
Yeah.
to feel like a preseason game by the end of that.
Yeah. And how slow on the draw
Great
is
point.
Ron Rivera with the red flag? I mean, that Dave
Oh, he's
Devontae
terrible.
Smith catch was no way a catch. I mean, you got to review that right away.
He's awful at home.
Man.
Everything, nothing works at home. Nothing
Yeah.
at home. But no, I think Devin, that's a good point about it. Did feel like that's probably the best analogy here is that it felt like the Eagles left their ones in too long in a preseason game, and we're excited because they kicked the living crap out of the other team. But it's a little mitigated. And look, I don't think we feel. Look, to be fair, I don't think we feel that way if they score 38 points. Right? Like, I don't think the three of us are coming back and saying, yeah, I mean, they scored 38, but come on, it's against Washington. No, it's like that's what you're supposed to do is pour in on a bad defense. That's I think, the frustrating part.
I totally agree. Like, I think I'm already going to know that I'm going to be frustrated this week with the whole, like, I feel like every time the Eagles get a win so far this season, it's like, oh, but it's just the Lions. Oh, but, Vikings defense didn't adjust. Oh, it's Kirk Cousins. Now it's Washington. They're terrible. Had they kept it going and put up, 30, 40 points, and it would have been like, okay, they crushed them. Now it's the fact that they didn't score it all in the second half. We're going to have to go through this debate of, like, why didn't they score it all? It is just Washington. It is just the Commanders, and they stink.
That's true. It's interesting to see how this moves forward with a team like Jacksonville. We'll talk about them at length this week. I haven't looked at anything on this game specifically. I'm just so afraid to bet against Doug Peterson in any capacity.
Hey, right now your coach of the year looks pretty solid.
I was going to say my coach of the year futures bet before the season started was Doug Peterson, and people thought I was crazy, but it's looking pretty good right now. So hopefully not this week. This week is an exception, but otherwise I always root for Dougie P.
Yeah. But my NFL parlay did hit, though, over the weekend. The Ravens, the Dolphins, and Houston. I got credit for the push. So that worked out. The college one, Michigan let me down. Their defense let me down. They scored plenty of points. They just gave up way too much in the fourth quarter, or that all four of those would have hit. So I bet them all individually, so it worked out anyway.
That's not bad, man. I know Michigan was a big sore spot for you.
Wake Forest showed up, Minnesota showed up, and Ohio State. My God.
Well, that was easy money.
Yeah.
You had to jump on Ohio State.
Exactly.
All right, so let's look at Monday Night Football. A couple of different things I have still alive is that multi-leg teaser. Let's see. It's Cleveland, Chicago, Minnesota, Buffalo. No, wait, that one is gone. It's the one we gave out last week that's still alive here.
It's
Minnesota, Atlanta. Yep. It's 7-point teaser. Minnesota, Atlanta, Green Bay, San Fran, all covering with the 7 points. And now Dallas tonight. So I'm on Dallas in that regard, at least by the 7 points there. The only thing else that I was looking at was I think there's a lot of rushing tonight. I do. I think tonight for a team like New York, they don't have the ability, maybe even the talent, to just stretch out and say, all right, we're 2-0. Let's start slinging the ball everywhere. You still have Daniel Jones, who's a liability. Yeah. Yes, the Dallas Cowboys have figured out, I think, a workable strategy without Dak Prescott. Like, they're clearly better with Dak, but it doesn't look like they've significantly stepped back with Cooper Rush running the offense. All of that, I think, look, Christian McCaffrey was like 7 yards a carry last week. I think both guys are going to run here. So I'm going to go over all three. I'm going to go over Pollard rushing, over Zeke rushing, because both of those are buy low opportunities. And the other side of it is to go over Saquon at 75.5. So that's where I'll begin. I'll throw it back to you all here, but that's where I'll begin, where I'm just going to target the running backs tonight. And it's a simple prop of just rushing yards here.
Yeah, I'm going under in the football game. What's that?
Under.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if we knew if Micah Parsons was definitely playing.
At the moment, I haven't seen that he's out. So I'm going basing on that he is playing. 39.5, by the way, is the total that I had.
That makes me think that I want to take the under for Saquon Barkley rushing yards, because I think Parsons is going to stop him, but we'll see. Sorry,
well, I don't buy either of these quarterbacks. I know Cooper Rush got some people excited with the way he played against, Cincinnati, but he's very limited. And if this Giant team can do anything against that Dallas rushing attack, you're going to see the real Cooper Rush, I think, show up tonight. Neither one of these offenses does anything for me. Dallas has a great defense when Parsons plays, and these games are usually low-scoring, ugly-ass football games. So I will take the under 39.5.
No problem there. Yeah. Look, Dallas, I'm sorry, Devin, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I also like Ezekiel Elliott and CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdowns, plus 150, plus 160 is not bad.
No, you're definitely getting plus money on Zeke. I think there are a couple of buy low opportunities here for the running backs in Dallas. Zeke still being at plus money for an anytime touchdown. You could argue that. And then also just, again, his rushing props. And it's not just the rushing yards. I mean, you could even look at a buy low opportunity for a guy in Pollard because of how successful he is maximizing limited opportunities. But receptions would be one. I mean, Tony Pollard's at 2.5 receptions, minus 105 for the over. Definitely target that. If you wanted somebody a little bit longer odds for an anytime, you could hit Noah Brown up, this is probably going to be it, right? Gallup's back in the scene. Schultz is a little banged up, but somebody like that could throw out.
I'm just glad my betting show is at halftime of this game. And as soon as the second half starts, that I can shut the TV off and go to bed. Because this game's going to stink. Just like last night's game stunk.
Yeah,
last night's game was...
I didn't watch it.
It was I barely watched. It was it was so boring.
Yeah, it was disappointing because I got into Niners last week. We talked about that here a week ago. They were plus 120. That thing flipped. They were laying juice at the end of that by the time they kicked off. So utterly frustrating. By the way, here's another one to think of. Two quick ones on the way out, and I'm going to play these both, so I'll have to add them to the sheet. But the first is over 3.5. To Harry's point about the quarterbacks and also the underplay, Giants are 1-8 against the spread, coming off consecutive wins. Daniel Jones doesn't know how to handle success. I love going over 3.5 total field goals in here. Graham Gano comes off a 250-plus field goal game, as does Brett Maher for Dallas, knocking to above 50. You're going to see drives stalled because of the quarterbacks and the defenses. And if you have a guy who can kick a 51, 52, like we saw with McManus last night, if you have a guy that can kick a 51, 52-yard field goal, that allows you to get some points still on the board. So 4 total field goals tonight, and I'll lay the 110 on DK.
Wow, that's going to be a beauty. 4 total field goals.
Just look, Harry, you've mentally prepared yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about turning the game off at the half.
Oh, I am. Trust me.
It's going to be because of touchdowns?
Yeah, trust me.
Let me ask you guys this before we
Yes.
go. Because we're Eagles fans, we're in Philadelphia. Who would you, and like, we don't want, in an ideal world, neither team could win. Who do we want to win tonight?
I want the Giants to win because I hate fucking Dallas.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
And I'm not in
Rob
fear
Ellis?
I'm not in fear of the Dallas or the Giants being 3-0 because they're a fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a fraud 3-0 undefeated.
Yeah. Beat Dallas.
I totally agree.
Whoever's playing, beat Dallas.
Here's the thing. I want Dallas to win.
Do you?
Because I don't, like you both, I don't care about the Giants. Like, nobody should care about the Giants.
Right.
It's still Daniel Jones. It doesn't matter how much they dress Daniel Jones up. He's still ugly as Daniel Jones, right? And I say that as an ugly individual. I get it. But here's the thing. I want Dallas to build this false sense of confidence. I want them to think that it does. As soon as Dak comes back, it's a plug and play. And, oh, yeah, we got this. And they have some sense of accomplishment that they were able to survive. You know, Dak Prescott got hurt and all I got was this T-shirt, some shit like that. Okay. I want them to build that. So I'm not rooting for Dallas, but that would be my takeaway when Dallas wins. I also kind of need Dallas to win. So,
well, the only way I'd root for Dallas is if I took the 1 point tonight. That's
no,
it.
You don't need to take the 1 point. Take them on the money line. What are you doing? All right. I'm going to leave you with a little gem here before we get out. But do you have anything at all, Harry, Devin, Harry, that we should look ahead to for college Thursday night, the Phillies, a soccer play, anything with Russian ping pong, anything at all?
No, when the rumors were swirling last week that were clearly shut down last night with the NFL's announcement when Taylor Swift was potentially going to be the Super Bowl performer, I was super into the odds for like what her first song would be. But now it's Rihanna, so can't do that.
Yeah, all the Swiftie fanatics were up in arms when they realized it wasn't Taylor Swift. I'm looking ahead to Georgia, who really had a flat spot in their schedule last week against Kent State. But they outgained Kent State 529 to 280 in that game. They just turned the ball over a couple of times and were disinterested. Their interest will be reignited this week as they go to Columbia, Missouri to start their SEC slate against a bad Mizzou Tiger team. And I'm laying 27.5 with the Georgia Bulldogs. This is going to be a flat 40-something to 7 beatdown.
Wow. I love that because I had Kent State last week. It was just such a great opportunity for anybody to come in and take advantage of a letdown for Georgia. So now it's the payback, which is totally understandable there. And what was the spread?
27.5.
Okay, so you're getting by 4 touchdowns. They should be up by 3 before you blink.
Right.
All right, I'll leave you with this thought here. I don't know what the hell this thing is called. There's a new name each time. There's a hurricane or tropical storm, whatever the hell is coming up now. I'm sorry?
A tropical depression.
Is that what it is? Okay. You know the name of the depression?
I don't.
Okay. Whatever it is, right? Tropical Depression Maze is working its way up the southeast corridor. And 4 games that will be directly impacted if they still manage to play these games. And I placed these wagers right before we did this show Monday AM. So don't go any less than 50, but under 50.5 UNC. Don't go any less than 50, but under 51 Duke. Don't go any less than 41, but under 42.5 Clemson. And then you really, I don't think are going to drop much more, but don't go any less than 62, under 64.5 Coastal. UNC, Duke, Clemson, Coastal Carolina. These 4 teams are going to be decimated by this hurricane, whatever the hell this thing is. If the games play, you are now in what should probably be 4 to 5 points of an advantage. So just take in mind that it's on a Monday. You can get in now.
Yeah, that Clemson, they got NC State coming in. They're only a 7-point home favorite. But I have fear that this is once again going to be another time where the Wolfpack fans, who I know many of, having lived down there and used to root for them when I lived in Raleigh, will be let down once again, that they're getting the idea that they've got a really good team. And I think Clemson is going to take care of them on Saturday night.
Well, add the monsoon, man. That's all I'm betting. All right. Do I need a bow tie here? Go full Schwartz on you? All right. We appreciate you rolling with us. Thanks to Matt for producing. Thanks to you all out there. You can leave a comment, hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed here to the Philly Voice YouTube channel. We're back on a Wednesday. More to look at Thursday night football, some stuff week 4 in the NFL, college as well.